Thank you. Next.
My name is Mark Peterson. I am the District Attorney of Contra Costa County. I've been a Deputy District Attorney for 30 years. I've been the elected District Attorney for the last 5 years, and it is the 9th largest county in Contra Costa County. I'm also a representative of the California District Attorneys Association, which consists of the 58 elected district attorneys that make the decisions as to who would face the death penalty. I personally tried 5 death penalty cases. What I'd like to share with you a little bit are facts about the death penalty. The death penalty has been in existence in California since 1850, over 150 years. This is an effort to repeal a law that's been in existence for 150 years. It's not a recent invention of let's get tough on crime. It's supported by the citizens of California. 31 other states, as you have heard, have a death penalty. This law that currently exists is supported by the citizens of California, your constituents, the people that voted you into office. They've reaffirmed their support, probably perhaps the only time in state history where the whole state has been asked, please tell us how you feel about this. We'd like to know 9 times since 1972 how you feel about the death penalty. 9 times your citizens, my citizens, the citizens of this state, the voters of this state has said we support a death penalty at the ballot box. This initiative is supported by a vocal minority of rich individuals who are philosophically opposed to the death penalty, who are misleading the voters, hoping that they will tire of having to address this issue, and misleading them about the costs that will be saved. The facts also are the death penalty is rarely sought. In my county, a county 9th largest in the state, we have 1 death penalty case. Los Angeles County, it was studied for a decade, from 2001 through 2011, had 6,700 murder cases. There were 62 death verdicts returned during that time. In a decade, that's less than 1%. It is rarely ever sought. There's this idea out there that the prisons are full of death row inmates. There are 134,000 prisoners in the California Department of Corrections. There are 750 on death row. That's it. It's very rarely imposed. Yearly, there might be in single digits individuals sentenced to death. And that's because it's reserved for the worst of the worst. Serial killers, mass killers. An individual who might go into San Bernardino County and kill 14 people for perhaps religious or political reasons. It's reserved for people who kill police officers, murder based on race or religion, hate crime murders, or perhaps the individuals that might be murdering several people in my jurisdiction out on the freeways. They're murdering people on the freeways now, on Highway 80, Highway 4. If there are individuals doing that, they've killed multiple people, they would be eligible for the death penalty. Regarding the costs for the death penalty, I agree with the previous questioner that these costs are very illusory. CDC has never found a definitive number as to what it costs to house somebody on death row. They've never provided that number. There still will be appeals. There seems to be some suggestion that because they don't go to the California Supreme Court that these individuals wouldn't appeal their life without parole sentence. Of course they'll still appeal. Their high percentage could already be housed single-celled, even according to CDC. The RAND study, which studied the death penalty, said there is no definitive evidence to really formulate what the death penalty cost. Those are the facts that we're all dealing with. But now it's used as a weapon. The individuals that want to get rid of the death penalty say it'll save costs. But it's all very illusory, all very general. I can give you some facts, though. The average person on death row is 27. The average age of life expectancy is 74. If those 750 people just live their lives out at $50,000 a year, that's $2.5 million. If the death penalty is limited, housing costs alone for those 750 will cost $1.8 billion. $1.8 billion. Those are facts. Those are numbers. There's absolutely no credible evidence that having a death penalty increases crime. I'm not going to argue that it decreases crime. I think the jury's out on that, as the previous speakers have talked about. There's no evidence that an innocent person in the state of California that's on death row has ever been executed. The previous speaker authored a report to that effect. Paula Mitchell in the Alacron Mitchell report said, California has approached the implementation of its death penalty system with caution, and as a result, no evidence has been presented that the prosecution of persons accused of capital crimes has resulted in the execution of someone who is innocent. They studied it. They looked at it. They examined it. Decades. Hasn't happened. Jerry Brown, who's probably looked at more death penalty cases than any of us, also agrees with that and has been quoted to that effect. Exonerated means lots of different things. I would caution all of us when we use the word exonerated. Does that mean the person was innocent, or does it mean it was reversed on a technicality? So this word exoneration gets thrown around like all these people were innocent in their crimes. Not necessarily the case. Exonerated means different things to different people. I will agree with the previous speaker that California is an outlier. California is an outlier because our length of appeals is over 8 years. Other states, it's 2 to 4 years. The death penalty person, someone convicted of the death penalty on death row, doesn't get an attorney for 4 years. That should be fixed. I agree with the professor who spoke earlier. He was on the Commission of Fair Administration of Justice. I read that report. They said make these changes. The California Supreme Court unanimously said make those changes. So we, law enforcement, California DA's office, came to this very subcommittee 2 years ago and asked you to fix it, asked you to fix the broken process. Never made it out of committee. The reason these competing initiatives are on the ballot because the legislators have refused to fix the problem. There is a problem, but you, the legislatures, respectively, have not fixed it. Death penalty system is not murder, it's not hate, it's not vengeance, it's justice. Comparing us to other cities, or countries, those are hidden persuaders. Say, well, we're like China if we have a death penalty. We're like Saudi Arabia if that have the death penalty. Not true. They don't have a justice system like we do. The protections in place in California are extensive.
Mr. Peterson, you got 6 minutes.
Finally, I would say the death penalty is used sparingly and appropriately. It should be carried out. It should be saved. And the citizens of California support the death penalty.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. And who's next?